Welcome everybody, this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, a weekly community call. Today is December 10th. It is almost the last. We'll have one call next week, and then we'll go 2 weeks off with the Tuesday calls. Thursday calls are going to be executed throughout the holiday break as well. So the second last meeting of the year on Tuesday calls, and we'll be back on 7th of January with this call as well. I'll talk about that one a bit later today as we go through the slides. My name is Esa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft, focused on the community areas and really helping everybody to understand what are we building within the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, or how to make most out of it. That's kind of my job. To help everyone. Now, today we will have a busy call because we have 3 demos. So we'll start with the latest update again on typical slides. We do know that we're repeating a lot of slides on the intro, but there's always new people joining on this call. So we want to make sure that everybody are up to date on where to get the downloading of the invites and where do I get access on samples and what else is available for me to take advantage. Now, after that, we'll go to the actual demos of today. And I just realized that I didn't update the last demo names properly, but let's see how we'll execute that together with my team. So we'll start with John Miller, who's going to do an introduction of Microsoft Teams Toolkit for Visual Studio IDE. And then we'll transition to Paolo. Paolo is going to do something talking about the Copilot Studio and custom copilots, or agents to be precise. There is a typo on that one as well. I need to go and update the slide. Creating custom agent with Copilot Studio, because that's the new terminology based on your files in SharePoint. So we're going to talk about when do you use the SharePoint agent, when do you use the Copilot Studio agent, when do you use the Copilot Studio agent builder, and on that demo as well. And then the last one is actually really cool as well. It's probably going to be actually me and Alex doing that one. Luca will be probably on a call answering questions, but let's see how that goes. It might be that Luca jumps in as well. It's about making Vika connection cards available in the Microsoft 365 Copilot. And this is something which is coming, starting to roll out worldwide starting from December. We're going to talk about what does it actually mean and what do you need to do and all of that stuff over there as well. Now, before we go to the actual demos of today, just to recap, we do have our YouTube channel, Microsoft Community Learning. You can find it at AKMS Community YouTube. Subscribe there. We do release at least 1 video every single day. On average, we've been actually releasing at least 2 videos every single business days within the past month. So a lot of new content available for there across the different roles who are interested in building or creating something in Microsoft 365 or in Power Platform. We do have our LinkedIn page and group for discussions and updates. So you can easily follow up on what's happening over there as well. There's a lot of open source assets available, primarily at the github.com/PMP, but then also in other locations. But the most usage is actually in the open source in the GitHub PMP organization. As it, however, might be a bit difficult to find the relevant sample for you, we also have these sample galleries, which are really convenient way of finding the relevant sample based on your requirements. So if somebody is asking you to create a Power App or create a adaptive card, just go to the sample gallery. And surprise, surprise, you will find tens and tens and tens of samples from Microsoft and community to get started. So you don't have to start from scratch. Please take advantage of that one. There's a lot of URLs to remember. Please remember AKMS Community Home. That is the one location where you can find all of this stuff from one single location. Now, talking about the calls, I kind of hinted already on this one. This call, which is happening every single Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, will be on a holiday break. So this is the call which goes actually on summer break and holiday break in winter time in the Northern Hemisphere. So we'll have few weeks off this week. We will not have the call on 24th of December because that's the eve of Christmas. A lot of people are not working on that day. And then 31st of December will not happen either because that is the eve of New Year. So let's remember that. We'll probably actually be in the call for showing a slide which says this call is not happening. So if you forgot about it, you will see the slide, but don't worry about it either. So that is basically 2 calls canceled. Next Tuesday, we still have a call, and we have 3 demos already scheduled on that one. 18th of December, we also have Power Platform monthly community call with community demos. A lot of cool stuff scheduled already there. That agenda will be released, I think, tomorrow or day after. We have Office Settings community call happening, I think, next week as well. So that's the monthly one with Microsoft presenters. And then we have our 7 a.m. Pacific time series, either Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or Viva Connection SharePoint Framework community calls. Those are happening bi-weekly. So either one of them is happening every single week on Thursday. Those calls we do not cancel. So they happen regardless of the day, regardless of the year, every single Thursday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. We will be there for you, or some of the crew members will be there for you, doing some demos, discussions, and helping you to get started. So we're trying to keep that. I don't think we have canceled the Thursday call for more than 5 years now. So it's looking really, really good. We did have that call even on Thanksgiving, and we will keep on having that in the future as well, definitely. Now, if you don't have access on any of these calls yet, AKMS Community Calls is the location to download the recurrent invites, and you can always check out the agendas at the Meetup service. Now, for a lot of those calls, we do welcome community presenters. So if you sign up, if you're interested, please sign up at the format AKMS Community Request Demo. This is, by the way, a great way of getting an MVP status. Or if you are an MVP, sign up for doing a few of these demos, and yeah, you will be pretty safe to get actually renewed because you are contributing for the benefits of others within a community. So the calls do count for existing MVPs and also to get the MVP status if you're interested in doing that. So please get yourself scheduled, and then we will get you scheduled on the agenda. I can see Stephanie saying that she's still waiting for the date. We'll follow up on that one. I know that especially ESPC last week caused a lot of us actually traveling, but we'll schedule everybody on the agenda as soon as possible. So we're catching up on all of that. Now, getting started assets on Microsoft Cloud. So we do have a lot of assets available at learn.microsoft.com. Please do take advantage of that one. AKMS M365 Dev Learn is for the developer side of the Microsoft 365 and also Power Platform. A lot of stuff over there. I haven't checked the numbers on the Learn modules. They're probably much bigger nowadays, but please check them out. They are free for you to take advantage. We did talk a bit about the samples already. We do have more than 2,100 samples at AKMS Community Samples. This is a brilliant location to get inspiration and examples on scenarios. So if you're like, okay, we're deploying a SharePoint, Viva Connection, Power Platform, I need to have a sample on or solution which is doing X and Y and Z. Have a look. It might be that somebody already built that kind of a solution, or giving you a starting point, an example how to make things happen. And this is samples which are coming from the Microsoft and from the community from one centralized location. So really cool service to take advantage. Now, when you find the sample, you might be wondering okay, so wait a minute, I can see the sample, but I'm not sure how to get started and what I should be doing now. Now, this is where sharing initiative comes from. So this is a initiative where we will have live community demo calls where you can join, and where then we do and learn the things together. These are actually scheduled, advanced at AKMS Sharing is Caring a location. You can find what is being scheduled, and then you join the call, and then we do things together. Those calls are not actually scheduled, so you don't feel bad about asking questions. There's a lot of other people in a community there as well, and we want to help you to succeed within your journey for Power Platform and Microsoft 365. So please check out that option as well. Then when you start actually contributing, or you start using these things, or you start helping others within a community, we want to acknowledge you. And this is where our Microsoft 365 and Power Platform recognition programs really comes and help you. So we want to give you correctly certificates or badges, which are different kinds of badges depending on what kind of things what you're doing. So we're all the time introducing new badges. We are heading to the season of Gitting pretty soon, which is the holiday season in the Christmas time. So if you are contributing during this time, you will get a season of Gitting badge, which you can then share within the social media and within your profile. And that is a proof that you have actually contributed within open source and within community from Microsoft perspective for others within a community, which is really cool. So please take advantage of this option as well. Snippet Sorcerer is the latest badge in the top. It is looking really cool. I love how that actually looks. David did a brilliant job of designing that one. Now, on the other events or other topics, we do have a lot of events happening all around the world. The really big next one will be the ECS, European Collaboration Summit, which is in the partnership with European AI and Cloud Summit and European BizApp Summit. That's happening in Düsseldorf, Germany, at 26th to 28th of May, 2025. We're looking into having more than 3,000 attendees there, so it's going to be a massive event. That venue, by the way, is really nice. We've been there quite a few times with ECS, and I like the venue for sure. It's a convenient location. You can easily fly in on this side of the pond. Now, on the other side of the pond, TechCon 365 is happening in June, August, and November at Seattle, Atlanta, and Dallas. A great option on that side of the pond to get to know and get to see other people in the community. And so please check out TechCon365.com. And then last week, we had the European SharePoint conference happening in Stockholm. They already announced that the next conference is happening in Dublin from 1st to 4th of December. So that's coming up next year. We're pretty much 1 year from that, but it's going to be a really big one. There was more than 2,000 attendees last week in Stockholm as well. So it was really nice to see the community there. Now, on top of this, there's a lot of other events happening all around the world. So please go to the communitydays.org. That is one location where you can find all of the relevant events which are happening in person or remotely all around the world. So quickly looking here, we have Netherlands, Luxembourg, India, United States, Dubai, Florida, so many locations where you can actually meet other people as well. And there are virtual ones as well. So please take advantage of communitydays.org. Now, in this week on the news site, we did have actually quite a decent amount of new news. So I'm going to paste in all of the latest news in the chat. If you're interested in checking out all of the different blogs and announcements on Power Platform and Microsoft 365, we give you this as a full list from all of those blog locations. So nothing too dramatical again. Something maybe to call out because I have a SharePoint background. There's going to be a really cool SharePoint event coming up on 29th of January, special event for SharePoint, talking about the future direction of SharePoint and the latest thing on there, and a lot of other news as well. But if you're a SharePoint person, please take advantage of that one and have a look on what is that all about. That's happening on 29th of January. Now, then, not that slide, this slide. So before we go to the together mode picture and taking picture all of us within the call, we also wanted to remind everybody on the Copilot prompt. This is a great option and a location where you can find how the Microsoft 365 Copilot works and what are the things what you can ask it to actually do. And the prompt of the week this week is coming from, let me click one more time, from here, from Christian Rodriguez. And it's basically an analyze a most recent email with the subject of meeting planning, summarize the key points, create a draft to create a task in Planner for each action item, blah, 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 blah. Create a draft also to send an email with the summary and draft a task. It's a great actually prompt calling the Copilot to work on behalf of us in certain business operations. And that saves time. And therefore, Copilot is helping us to be more efficient. Really cool. Thank you, Christian, for that one. Now, and of course, you can find more examples of these things at AKMS PMP-prompt library, prompt-library. And also one more reminder on the Teams Toolkit tooling survey. We will post this one pretty soon. So the Teams tooling is looking for developer feedback, what works, what doesn't work, and all of that stuff. So if you go AKMS Teams tooling survey, fill in the form, let them know what works for you and how we can improve that tooling. And then right on the schedule, not in a really good way, let's actually do a quick group photo with together mode picture. And then we are heading to the actual stars of the day. So let me also enable my camera. Not that camera, let me enable the other camera. When you have multiple cameras, this gets always complicated. Oh, here I am. Actually, John. Let's wait a few more seconds before we actually start waving. I will start Camtasia recording here. We have 50 seats in the room. We do have more than 200 people live currently, recurrent people in the call, which is great. And let me actually do that. Let me enable the recording over there. We still have few seats in the room. Anybody? Oh, one more, two more. One more, two more. Peter has a friend. There's two people sitting right next to each other over there. That's really cool. It was, by the way, good to see you in Stockholm last week as well. Let's actually start waving hands. 3, 2, 1. Thanks to everybody for joining. Awesome to have you in the community. Really cool. A lot of familiar faces and also new faces. This is always good. And smiling faces. Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you for being part of this community. And thank you for being open for taking these pictures as well. We'll share that one in social media a bit later today. Cool. Then it's time to go to the actual stars of the day. And we'll start with John Miller. moving into Paolo, and then the last one will be Luca, me, Alex, or Alex, me. We'll see how we'll actually make that happen, but we'll definitely talk about the topic will be covered today probably, and Alex will be doing the live demo. But we'll start with John Miller with the Teams Toolkit updates.
Thanks, Vesa. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, you should be seeing my slides.
Yep.
So this is the next iteration on the series that I've been doing pretty much the last couple of weeks. I think I skipped last week because I was traveling, but we're talking about Teams Toolkit, and today I'm going to talk about Teams Toolkit for Visual Studio. So just to recap on what that series has looked like so far. A couple weeks ago, I did an introduction on just an overview of all of Teams Toolkit, and then 2 weeks ago, talked about Teams Toolkit for VS Code. Today, I'll talk about for VS. And then coming up, we'll talk about the CLI, deploying with Azure, and how to use CI/CD with our templates. So trying to give you an end-to-end kind of overview of everything that we have built for developing apps with Teams. All right, so in case you weren't here in those previous sessions, this is what Teams Toolkit is, at least in my words. It's mostly project templates and samples and a bunch of documentation on building apps for Teams, also for Office add-ins and custom agents. We also have automation. So this is like a composable task runner to automate a lot of the setup to try to make that tedious process a little less tedious. And then you can group those configuration sets, and it's a feature we call environments. And we have infrastructure templates. So we have optional templates using Bicep for you to host these things in Azure, and then a way for you to provision those things and also deploy the code to those resources. And we have a simulator-like tool that we call the app test tool right now. So that's a way for us to kind of mock a little bit of what Teams does, but doesn't require you to have any accounts or any tenants or any permissions or anything like that. So you can do a lot more local to your machine. And we have a design time previewer called the Adaptive Card Previewer. And we also have GitHub Workflow and Azure DevOps templates to do CI/CD. And we also have support for creating dev tunnels. So it makes things a little easier for you to debug these solutions. So that's all I have for the recap. So what I want to show you is Visual Studio. So let's get rid of PowerPoint. Maybe I can just bring this over here. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, so we're in VS. When you start up, this is for VS 2022. That's where our extension lives. So you'll need to have VS 2022. And if you create a new project, we have this is kind of the main entry point. We have a template for you to start. So project template is called Microsoft Teams app. If you don't see this, then you probably need to go into the VS installer, and under the ASP.NET workload, there's an optional component called Teams Developer Tools, I believe, or something like that. So you can go ahead and add that additional component to your install, and then you'll see this template and you'll get all of our tooling that I'm going to show you here today. When you select this template, my font's a little big, so gotta make these windows a little larger for you. There's a bunch of sub templates as part of that. So we have all sorts of things, anywhere from like just Teams apps like tabs and bots, simple stuff like an Echo bot, all the way to newer things like API plugins, or we have templates that allow you to create some AI scenarios using the Teams AI library. We have things set up for you to connect with Azure AI Search, as you can see here, and there's a bunch of templates here you can explore on how you want to get started, all the way down to also an empty Teams app. So this would just be a Teams app project with no capabilities, which can be useful if you want to add it to an existing project. So what I've done here is I selected Basic AI Chatbot, and I've already created this to save a little time. So let me close this. I already have it open here. So this is a basic AI chatbot, and the solution will have two projects in it. The first project is unique to our extension. It's I think it's a special project type called TTK Proj or something like that. But basically it's to encapsulate all of the Teams app, or the app package, and all the automation stuff, basically all the tooling features, so that way they are isolated from your implementation and your other .NET projects. And what we have in here is an app package folder. So this is where your app manifest would live. And sure. I see someone is not on mute. So if you don't mind, please mute yourself. Otherwise, I'll forget what I'm talking about. So this is the app manifest. So this is where your app package will live. So you can go ahead and, we can modify that. For environments, these are the environment files for how you can configure Teams Toolkit. And so if you have used Teams Toolkit at all, you might be familiar with this, but if not, this is how you can customize things like what's your bot ID, app ID. These are all the ways that we can configure placeholders. Like here in the manifest, we have a Teams app ID. This is something the tools can generate for you. And so that's where all of those values will live. By default, we give you an infra folder. This is all of the bicep files for hosting in Azure. So for this project, we have an Azure bot service, and we also have, I believe, looks like, yeah, an app service configured in here. And so our tooling can help you create these things and provision them in Azure. That's optional, though. You don't have to use those if you don't want to, or if you have another way to deploy these things. And then we have our automation files. So these YAML files are how we handle automation. And so this is consistent with Teams Toolkit projects across the BS, CLI, doesn't matter. It's kind of part of our project system. And so we have kind of a task runner, and you can read through these and see what they do. But the idea is that this helps automate the setup of what's needed on the cloud side for a Teams app. So in this case, you need a Teams app ID. We have an automation task called Teams app create, and it will take in a name. So here's the name of my project template. And then it will, once it gets the output, which in this case is an app ID, here's the syntax for how it expresses where it's going to save that. So it's going to save it the Teams app ID. And so since this is the local one, we can look in the environment file. And I've already ran this to make sure everything was going to hopefully work smoothly for you today. So there's already some values in here. Typically, this would be empty until you run it the first time. So you can see this is where it saved my Teams app ID. And since I've already run this, I've already created, the tools have already kind of created like the final version of that. So you can see here's what it looks like once the app ID is stubbed in, and then all those placeholder values are stubbed in as well, like my bot ID, etc. So the tools help you automate all this stuff and give you a final artifact to upload to the platform. So you don't have to dive all into that when you first get started though. What you can do is you could just go right into this sample project, which is, this is kind of the implementation of that bot. So this is nothing too specific here. There's nothing specific here to Teams Toolkit. Now we're just in like a web, I think it's a web API project, but it has controllers in it. So there's one controller for a bot. This is very similar to what Bot Framework looks like. It uses the Bot Framework SDK. In this case, we're also using the Teams AI library. So if we go into the starting here, there's a bunch of setup here for boilerplate stuff that we give you in the project template. And then this particular template uses Teams AI library. So I can connect Azure. In this case, I've connected Azure OpenAI to my bot. So here's the setup for all that stuff. And all this is included by default in the template. And the only thing this bot does right now is when I start a conversation, it'll just give me a welcome message. And then when I chat with it, it's going to send it to my language model and give me a response. The prompt configuration for that is all set up for Teams AI library. So here's my prompt. This is the template, so it's very simple. And this is the way I can configure Azure OpenAI. As part of the scaffolding step, I can enter my Azure OpenAI key. So I've done that so that way you folks don't have to see my API key and then I have to delete everything that I've just built. So if you see that, just close your eyes. And the next part that we have is if you want to run this thing. By default, we have the test tool. So this is the simulator-like environment I was talking about. So what we can do is just hit start. Don't need to log in or really create any resources for this because it's going to run locally. And it should open up. I'll bring it over here. It just popped up on my other monitor. This is what the test tool looks like. And bring this over here. There we go. All right, so here's the test tool. And so this is a web app that's running locally, gives you some features that try and simulate a lot of what Teams can do, like gives you a chat interface like a bot, gives you a way to interact in a group setting so you can see how your bot behaves by mentioning it. Same for like a channel or a team. And then you can mock a lot of the Teams activity messages that would come through in Teams. So you can create a custom one if you want. So you could see what your bot does when you get like the install message or a user joins a channel, etc. So the other thing it lets you do is, this is not going to help you debug like Teams, but what it will let you do is focus on your bot code, which can be nice to kind of eliminate variables here. But it's also super quick because we don't have to go through the relays of Teams and actually go to the cloud or anything. So we can just talk here, and I've already connected this to Azure OpenAI. So this is going to go to my language model and give me a response. So that's pretty fast, which is nice. Now I can just kind of iterate on my model and all that setup, and you can set breakpoints, et cetera, debug how you would expect. But when you're ready to actually go to Teams, we have another debug target here set up by default for Teams. The README file goes through all these steps. So all these projects have a README file in here, kind of walk you through how to use the template. But I'm going to show you. First thing you'll have to do is set up a dev tunnel. So VS Dev Tunnels is a feature of Visual Studio. I've created one that I've named Teams Dev, and I've already selected it, so it's running now. And Teams Toolkit will use that. So that way there's a tunnel created to debug this bot, because this is actually now going to run through Bot Framework in the Bot Framework portal. So the first step would be to go ahead and trigger that composable automation I said to set up all these things. The way you do that is this Teams Toolkit menu. So there's a prepare Teams apps dependencies here, and select what tenant, the account for the Teams tenant you want to run in. Hit continue. I've already done this, so I don't need to do it again. But what that's going to do is it's going to run through all of these steps inside the YAML file and create the Teams app ID, the bot ID, update, the app settings, development.json with the things I need to run my app, register with Bot Framework, validate the manifest, make sure I didn't make any typos, etc. Make sure everything is good to actually run. And then once that's done, you can hit start and we'll launch inside of Teams in a browser. So go ahead and bring that over here. Why is that so? That is really big. There we go. All right. All right, so launch inside of Teams. This is the normal install flow for Teams. So I'll go ahead and add that. You can see I have many sample projects that I've been playing with. All right, so here's my Teams app. Same thing. Golden ratio, sure. So we go ahead and talk to my bot, and actually I was kind of expecting, okay, there it goes, now it's on. So I got my welcome message, and there's my response to my message. So now I can go ahead and test inside of Teams. And since I only have a few minutes left, what I'll do is I'll also show you, you can also go back to this menu, provision in the cloud. And what that's going to do is use these infrastructure files to create Azure resources. So it's going to use this YAML file, and you can see one of the steps here, right here, is to do an ARM deploy. And it's going to read from the infra directory, go through and provision those resources, have you select your Azure account, your subscription, your resource group. I've already done this this morning, so things would work. And then once you provision, you can deploy, and that will do a zip deploy of your project up to those resources. And then you can preview it in this case, this is a Teams app. So I'm going to go ahead and preview it in Teams, and it will open up another Teams client with my dev version of the app. So I can go ahead and add this. And now this app is not running locally anymore. This is running inside of Azure in my subscription. And that should still be running, so it should work. And that will let me create locally using the test tool, so I don't need anything inside of Azure, any counts, anything like that. You can also run it so your bot is running locally, but then debug inside of Teams, inside of a Teams client. And then when you're ready, you can provision and deploy to Azure, so everything is running remotely, and test it that way as well. So you can do pretty much everything from Visual Studio, but in the future module, I'll show you all of this stuff also works with our CLI tool. So you could connect this to CI/CD as well. So you don't have to always be clicking these menus. You could use this stuff for local and then use provision and deploy in the CLI, but I'll go over that next time. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I think the only thing I would share with you real quick is if you want to get started, ak.ms/ttk, and that'd be a good place to get started. All right, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Really cool stuff, and it's great to see that we have that really it's not. I think it's parity between Visual Studio IDE and Visual Studio Code. It's good. People can choose which environment they're going to use. So really cool stuff to see this live. But thank you for that one. Let's move in then to Paolo. We're going to talk about copilots and agents and studios and SharePoint agents and so on. Paolo, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Visa. Yes, today we are going to see how we can create custom agents with Copilot Studio so that we can base those agents on files and content that we have in SharePoint Online. So first of all, and very quickly, what is an agent? Because we keep on talking about agents, but maybe people don't know what an agent is, which is totally legit. So an agent is or can be defined as an intelligent assistant, which helps you to enhance the Microsoft 365 Copilot experience for your end users, providing a specific context or scenario so that rather than having a generative AI system like Microsoft 365 Copilot, which will give you an answer based on the whole knowledge base available in the whole tenant of your Microsoft 365 ecosystem, can give you an answer, can give you content based on specific contexts and scenarios so that you can have a specialized version of Copilot, which is called nowadays agent. And the beauty of this kind of extensibility model is also that it is seamlessly integrated with the tools and workflows that you use to creating your own solutions nowadays. So that said, when we think about how we can create agents on top of SharePoint online files, libraries, or sites, there are multiple options available. One set of options is the one of options for end users experience. So you are an end user, you're not a maker, you're not a developer, you're just a regular end user, and you can rely on the agent builder or on the custom agent for SharePoint, and we will have a quick look at those options in this demo. Then if you are a maker, you can use Microsoft Copilot Studio to have a no-code, low-code approach to the creation of an agent. And last but not least, if you wear the hat of a developer, so you want to use a pro-code tool, you can use the Teams Toolkit to create declarative agents, or eventually you can use still Visual Studio Code and the Teams Toolkit to create custom engine agents, which will give you the maximum capabilities in terms of extensibility and customizability of your solution. Now, in this demo, we will mainly focus on Copilot Studio, but I will give you a quick overview also of what you can do with the agent builder and with the agent in SharePoint. So let me move to the actual demo and let's see what we can do in practice. So here I have my Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot in my demo tenant. And whenever we use Copilot, on the right side, we have the capability to leverage a set of agents, as you can see right here. We have some out-of-the-box agents. Right now, we have the Visual Creator one, and then we can have a bunch of custom agents that we can create. And from an end user point of view, you can also search and browse a marketplace of agents that you can simply install and make available in your user experience, or you can create an agent from scratch using the so-called agent builder experience. And here you can either use the descriptive approach, so you just describe what you want to have using natural language, and the generative AI will understand your intent and create an agent for you. Or you can use the configuration option, which will allow you to configure step-by-step information like, of course, a name and an icon and description, but the set of instructions, which will be a set of system prompts that you will provide to your foundational model and to Copilot to get a specific behavior out of your custom agent. You can specify a set of knowledge bases, like, for example, a SharePoint site. So let's say that, for example, I have a Contoso HR website where I have content about the HR policies and rules in my company. I can simply add this site as the knowledge base together with eventually additional sites, and I can provide starter prompt to help the user interact with my custom agent, like, for example, hiring people. And the prompt could be, how can I hire new people, or stuff like that, okay? Once you are done with the configuration of your agent in the UI of the agent builder, you will simply find your agent available in the UI of the custom of the custom builder here on the right side, or directly in the UI of Microsoft 365 Copilot, like I have right here. Another option that you have is to go to a SharePoint Online site, like this one, for example. And nowadays, every SharePoint Online site does have a ready-made Copilot agent. In fact, right here in the upper right side of the screen, we have the Copilot icon when we are in a SharePoint Online site, and we always have a ready-made agent built for the site in which we are. And here we can provide prompts based on the content that we have on the site. But of course, we can also go to specific context, and that's why I'm talking about agents on files in SharePoint Online. And you can eventually choose one or more documents or folders that you have in a target repository, and you can click on the create an agent command, and by selecting this command you can have a new agent created on the fly for you on the documents that you selected. And again, you can just open the agent and interact with the agent that you just created, or you can eventually edit the agent using the configuration UI, and you can provide additional settings almost like before, like, for example, providing additional sites, additional documents, and stuff like that. But today, we want to see what we can do with an additional tool and with a no-code or low-code approach using Microsoft Copilot Studio. So let's say, for example, that we have couple of site collections like this one, the Contoso HR, and another one, which is the Contoso Learning. And we want to create a custom agent to work with the content that we have in these two site collections using a low-code, no-code approach. So with Copilot Studio, if you go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com, which is the entry point URL for Copilot Studio, you can see that we have a web-based and nice-looking UI that we can use to create custom agents. In fact, we have a list of agents that we have already, and I have already created in my environment right here, and we can always create a new agent by clicking on the create button and selecting to create a new agent. By doing that, you can see that the experience looks almost like what we had before, but we will see that little by little there will be additional capabilities when we use Copilot Studio. For example, let's say that I want to create the M365 call HR agent, just to give it a name. And we can provide a description. You are an agent or an agent helping employees with HR policies and rules, and then we provide a set of instructions, which will be the system set of prompts for the custom agent. So, for example, you can say you are an agent helping employees to work with HR rules and policies and to learn stuff about improving career. Why? Because I want to add a couple of knowledge bases. I can click on the add knowledge, and it can be a knowledge base based on a public website or on SharePoint or on tables in Dataverse. And if we switch to the advanced option, we can eventually rely on additional data sources if we want. And let's say that, for example, here I want to rely on a SharePoint site collection, which is the Contoso HR I just showed you before. And in this site collection, I have plenty of documents, not really plenty, but some documents about HR. So I have documents with the hiring procedures, layoff procedures, and stuff like that. And I also want to get the Contoso Learning, which is yet another site collection that I have, where I have documents about learning business English, training material for HSE, and stuff like that. So I want to add this site collection, as well as the other one, the Contoso Learning, as the knowledge base for my custom agent. Then I can simply click on the Create button. And by doing that, I can, in a matter of few seconds, see that I have an agent which has been built on the fly by Copilot Studio, and which I can customize using all of the capabilities of Copilot Studio. While the agent is still under provisioning, the publish button is not available, but as soon as it will be available, we can then publish the agent and start using it. Now, just to give you an idea, the agent is made not only of the instructions that we provide in the description and the knowledge base, and eventually we can add additional knowledge base, like, I don't know, a website. Let's say that we want to use an HR authoritative site, which actually I don't have, and I don't want to promote any sites, so I will simply use the Microsoft website for the sake of it. But could be any website of your interest that you want to target as a knowledge base. So I can even mix content from SharePoint and from a website, a public website. And once you are done with your agent, of course, you need to publish it to make it available in the infrastructure. And by playing with the settings of the agent and with the capability of the agent, you can, as soon as it will be published, it takes usually a few seconds, you can have a look at the knowledge base of the agent, and you can eventually improve and update additional data and content. But specifically, you can work with topics, and the topics allow you to create conversation path in your agent, so that, for example, you can have specific trigger conditions, and by triggering those conditions, you will be able to interact with the user with a single turn or multi-turn conversation to provide content or acquire content from the user. So here you can see we have some out-of-the-box topics available, the system topics to start the conversation, to escalate the conversation if the engine is not able to understand what the user is looking for, or we can create custom topics, for example, from blank, or using, again, a description. So we can say that acquire employee name, just for the sake of making an example. You can retrieve the name of the employee and show an adaptive card with the collected input. Again, I'm providing a text description of what I want to get, and it will create on the fly a topic, which can become an advanced functionality of my custom agent created with Copilot Studio. And you can see here I have the question to collect the person name, and I have an output message, which will be an adaptive card JSON to give back to the user the collected username. So this is to give an idea of what you can do inside Copilot Studio. Now, let's say that you want to use the agent that you just created. So you can go back right here, and you can say that you want to make it available through one or more channels. And when you do that, one channel for sure is the Microsoft Teams one. So if you choose Microsoft Teams, you can enable support for this channel, and your custom agent will become available in Microsoft Teams. Again, turn on Teams, works on it for a bit, and once it will be ready, we can get the availability options for this channel, which means that we can get access to it through a direct link, which I'm going to copy right now. Or you can make it available through the Team Store, whether by targeting the whole organization or specific set of users and security groups. Or you can even download a zip package that you can upload in the Teams app catalog, eventually to make it available with specific rules through the manually through the Teams app catalog. I copied the link, and I just want to use it from the Teams UI. So I can come here, I can paste the URL. Usually it takes a while to make it available, so it might be that it will not be already available, but I'm lucky enough, so it is already ready. So let me add it. And now I can use this custom agent as a chatbot in my Teams UI in order to get information about the HR policy. So, for example, I can say, how can I hire new people in our company? And by providing this prompt to my custom bot, my custom agent, I will be able to get back an answer, which would be based on the context and on the content that I have in SharePoint Online. So the files about the hiring procedures that I have in my SharePoint Online site. And here we can see a reference to the hiring procedures file that I have right here in this site. One last thing that I want to show you, just because Vesa told me that I can get 5 minutes more, and so I will, or maybe 2 or 3, is that when you use Copilot Studio, you can also go to the list of agents, and you can select the Copilot for Microsoft 365 section. And by doing that, you can then from here create agents which will target the user experience of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this one. What do I mean? Well, you can create a new agent from here, almost like I did before, and I can use again a description-based approach, or I can just use the configuration. Let's go for that one. So M365 call HR agent will be the name. Let's give it a different name just to understand which one is the right one. And then we can provide a description again, helps users and employees with HR-related topics, provides information to employees about HR policies. Now, again, one more time, we are going to copy the URL of this site that I want to use, as the knowledge base for my custom agent. Let's do that. And just this one for the sake of saving a few seconds. I can add some starter prompts like how can I, or hiring people is the title. How can I hire people? Or improving career. How can I improve my career? This will be the starter prompt that I want to use in the UI of my custom agent. And I can click on the create button. Once it will be created, I will be able to get a link which I can use to configure as a custom agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot the agent that I just defined. So let's see, publish. I'm going to publish with the default settings right here, but of course here you can configure your company name and all the stuff related to your development company. And once this step will be done, we will get a link that we can copy and use to activate this custom agent straight into the out-of-the-box UI of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So a few more seconds and we should be ready. Let's see. Takes a bit of time because it needs to do quite some stuff under the cover, but as soon as it will be ready, we can play with our custom agent directly in the Microsoft 365 Copilot UI. And here we are. Let me copy the link. Let me go back here, paste the link. And again, here, every now and then it takes a while to become available. Let's see if we already have it available or not, but hopefully yes. And yes, we do. So let me add it. And I will be back into the native UI of Microsoft 365 Copilot with a custom agent that I created with Copilot Studio and which becomes available inside the UI of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So let's see if we can see it already. So let me open it from here. So Microsoft 365/Copilot, and let's see if it is already available or not yet. And yes, we have it. So here we have our custom agent with the starter prompt, how can I hire people? And I will get back an answer, which is still based on the knowledge base on the content that I have in my SharePoint Online site. And here you can see I have my hiring procedures document inside my SharePoint Online site. I think that's all for me. Thank you, Vesa, especially for the additional 2-3 minutes. I hope you don't mind. So thank you, and back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Paolo, on that one. Definitely good demo, and it's good to have complete demos. So that's really, really cool. Don't worry about it. I think the last topic will be, well, we'll take definitely 10 minutes. Let's see how this goes. And if we go a few minutes long, we'll and people need to drop, they can catch the recording afterwards. But let's actually move into the next demo. So we're going to talk about we'll figure this one out. We'll do another isolated demo on this one, definitely on top of the community call plan in here. We might come back on January to repeat the demo. So we come back on that one. But it's just easier now to call up from a timing perspective. I think we need to drop anyway. So thank you, Alex. And thank you, John and Paolo, for the great demos. Those were really, really cool. Unfortunately, the last one, clearly, there was somebody shared a message in the chat that there was a outages, unfortunately, in Teams causing freezing. Thank you, Noel, for sharing that one. Anyway, Next week, we'll have again 3 demos, really, really cool demos coming up. And so John is going to continue his series on Microsoft Teams app, Microsoft Teams Toolkit. And this time we're going to talk about the CLI. Then Erik Schönlinger is kind of talking about the career coach declarative agents. So what are declarative agents and how they actually work? And then we go to Shefali Patankar, who's going to talk about introduction to the Power Platform connectors and Copilot extensibility. Really, really cool demos coming up on 17th of December. Then we'll break for 2 weeks because it's 24th of December and 31st of December, and we'll come back on 7th. It might be that me and Alex and Luca are here back on 7th, just to make sure that we get a proper recording and a proper demo. Hopefully by that time, everything has been sorted out. But thank you everybody for joining. In the meanwhile, before next week, please use our Discord server. That's one option to engaging with the community. So if you are using Discord in general, great option to get involved within the community side as well. There's more than 2,400 members there. Also, we are always looking for feedback. We can't fix, feedback related on community goal was bad because of technical issues. But that's not really on us, so we don't hope to get that kind of feedback. But if you have constructive feedback on the input and content, if it's good, if it's bad, let us know. Technical things, we can't unfortunately fix those because we can avoid them. And those things unfortunately happen every now and then. But for now, thank you everybody for joining. The recording will be available within Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel within 24 hours. Please follow up on us on the social media. Next call on December 17th, and then we'll be back after 7th of January with the Tuesday series. Thursday series keeps on going throughout the holiday season. But that's it for this one. I think it's better to close up. Crossing fingers that we got the recording in a decent level. We do apologize on the technical challenges. We'll come back and repeat the demo a bit later in 2025. But thank you, Alex. Thank you, John. Thank you, Paolo. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.